People, deluded, I'm back again. Graham, can you hear me? Is everything cushy? First things first, sorry, my guy. I've been coming back from Sainsbury's. I've literally just sat in this seat, mate. I know you've been here for a while. Apologies for keeping you waiting, man. But as you already know, the man needs no introduction. It's Mr. Graham, the tactical masterclass. You typically see him on AFTV. How you doing, my guy? You good?
I'm all right, mate. How are you? I think we should have done something a long time ago, bro.
Overdue, mate. Overdue. And it's
Overdue.
like, I mean, for one reason or another, it hasn't happened. And I thought, you know what? I felt a bit like you. It's like I've had so many people, but I've not had someone that I actually watch and someone whose opinion I hold in high regards. That's why, personally, I'm very excited to do this with you, man. And follow him on Twitter and whatnot, people. The information's in the pinned message. But yeah, how are you, man?
I'm all right, man. Yeah, I'm looking good, feeling good. When I say looking good, feeling good, I've been a bit rough the last few days. So,
oh wow,
recovering from the flu a little bit. So yeah, so I feel a bit better today. Look, I have to say first of all, I'm a massive fan of you, mate. I think
likewise,
and you know that, mate, because I just think you should be doing bigger things. What you're doing. Don't get me wrong, you're doing big things. You're making big movements already, but I just think you're a young guy with tremendous talent, and I watch all your stuff. I think you're brilliant at what you do, and I think you have just as much understanding of the game as what I do, even though I'm sort of a lot older than you. But I do think you've got a future in the game. I really do think that you're going to go places, mate. And,
who's cutting lunches, man?
I'll talk you up, and it's going to be a mutual admiration society today, man, between us.
Of course it is.
I think that you're brilliant. I've always rated you. You know that. I've told you, and I just hope that there's a career for you in what you do, because I just think you're brilliant at it. And I just think you need to be a little bit patient, man. But I do think you're going to get there. And you've made big strides already. I think there's a lot more to come from you. And I think what you've done already, you've set a benchmark. And I think you're going to go from strength to strength, mate. I honestly do feel, you know, that you're going to be going places on social media and in football, because I think you're very talented, man, what you do.
Oh, my word, man. I don't know. You threw me right off. I don't know where we go with that. All I can say is honestly, thank you. It's something that you've said before and whatnot, and I appreciate it. As you said, there's mutual admiration, and this is why I wanted you here, because obviously you know your stuff. You're a passionate Arsenal fan, but you have the ability to see things that most people can't see and approach it with a level-mindedness, and that's something that we as Arsenal fans can't really say. So if I jump straight into what I wanted to ask you personally, I've got all the questions here in front of me. What have you made of Arteta tactically this year as opposed to last year? If there's anything's changed, what have you like? What have you fond of what he's doing? Is there stuff that you don't want to see anymore? Where are you at with us from a tactical point of view?
I think he's made big improvements this year, Deluded. I really do. I think, I do, over the last few weeks. I like the way now that we play out. I like the way we draw teams onto us, the way we play around teams' presses, and I like the way we build up now in this new shape. I think what he's done now, he's got his players on side. It's enabled him to move to what he wants to do, and that is to play a high line, I think, and to be aggressive. He's tactically now, I don't know if you've noticed, you probably know as much about the game as I do, and you watch it and you see it yourself, so I'm sure you do see it as well. And that is, I think we're pushing higher up the line now. We're pushing higher up with higher intensity. We're pressing from the front. I think the intensity, the pressing from the front, sort of like is the lead to the intensity we're now showing off the ball. And I think there's a dynamism about the play now. I think he's freed the players up now to be more expressive in the way we're playing, because I thought before we were just overcoached. I do like the way we coach, the way he's playing out from the back. I like the way we play around the presses. I like the way we build up now. I like the way the little triangles we're weaving across the pitch, and the way we have moved on, I would say, away now from the exclusive build up on the left hand side. It's a more balanced build up. You know, it's sort of like on the right hand side as well. Having Saka on the right hand side is a massive plus, I think, because he adds something on that right hand side. You know, and I think he's now got Lacazette playing a different role, the way he drops in. And I just think he's changed the way over the last few weeks. I didn't see this coming, I have to say, but since the transfer window, since the momentum's been established in the upturning results, I think he's giving him the confidence now, and the players the confidence and the belief in what he's doing. And I see improvements right across the pitch in the last 2 games in particular, because we had 2 very difficult games there. Aston Villa at home. Villa have been on a run of poor results, but they certainly
still Aston Villa, yeah.
Still Aston Villa, and they were good last year. And the Leicester result, I think, was big as well, because although they were without their 2 of their defenders, Fonfana and Pereira, I think massive for them. And then Ndidi is a great player. I still think to go there, to the way we started in that first half hour, and I think the big difference for me, Deluded, in the way we play now, is I didn't see this last season from Arsenal. We always started slow. We had we were not very good at sort of like pressuring off the ball. We were very slow in build up, taking lots of passes to get the ball up the pitch. By the time we got it up the pitch, teams were set back in their shape. You played this lopsided sort of 3-2-5 build up.
Yeah.
And I think we've moved away from that now. I've called it over the last few weeks. It's almost like a 2-4-4 build up, the way we build up. And we build up with a very balanced now. He's got the 2 midfield players, the 6 and the 8, Partey and Lokonga, playing closer together. And I think there's more energy in the team now. A certain Mr. Xhaka's not in it. I know it's a controversial subject. I don't know.
I need to actually mention. Have I got it? Yeah, I have. Yeah, we're gonna get on to Xhaka specifically. I've got that.
Yeah, and I just think Lokonga has come in and really impressed me. The way, for a young bloke, I know he was brilliant at Anderlecht. He was captain at Anderlecht at 18, but I didn't see this from him. And the way he's come in now into a new country, into a high intensity league
at a young age as well,
and he's won me over straight away. His performances over the last 2 weeks have been great. I think Thomas Partey is the key to it, and I like now he's got the spine to the team. You know, he's got the goalkeeper, he's got the 2 centre halves, he's got Partey, and significantly he's got Aubameyang scoring again. Not only is Aubameyang scoring again, he's the one leading the press.
Yeah,
and I think Lacazette's performing the role. He's got Lacazette and Aubameyang back into the team together in a 2. It's a 4-4-2 at times, a 4-4-1-1, sometimes a hybrid 4-2-3-1. It's a very fluid shape now. And I know he's got his critics and he's still got a lot to win me over entirely. But I think tactically he's changed it this season. He would argue now he's got the players in the team he wants, the 6 players he's signed. We're on this fantastic run, 9 unbeaten. And I just think I see tactical improvements and a freeing up of the front players to play with more expression, Deluded.
You mentioned it there, like players have been freed up and there's more freedom. For you, which players specifically is there freedom? And you mentioned that, you know, while you kind of alluded to it, that Arteta is doing a lot to prove doubters wrong and show stuff, and I agree. What sort of things do you want to see improve even more beyond the obvious? Is there any other areas you're looking at and saying we need to do better? Is there anything you want him to perfect upon more as well?
Well, first of all, I think defensively, he's got us really solid. That's the first thing I say. Defensively, he has got us solid. So you can't, when I say I want us to improve, I think the way we're playing at the moment, I'm very happy the way we're playing. I mean, the performance against Aston Villa, that game, the way that, I mean, you see things when you watch the game live. When I watch it, I watch it up high. You don't see those sort of things on the television. So you can see the patterns of the play, the way the players are moving, the shape. And I'm comfortable with that. And the players that have improved it for me is he's got the players in the correct positions. I think if you look at it early in the season, I think he had Saka on the left. I think Saka's better on the right. He had Smith Rowe, who's brilliant on the left. He moved him on the right to over on Pepe's side, and I don't think that combination was working.
Didn't work out, no.
No, it wasn't working. And Lokonga, when Xhaka went out the team, he moved Lokonga into that position for that first game at Brighton, where he literally played him almost like a left back. And that didn't work. So I think the key to it, he's got the players in the positions where they're best suited to suit their strengths.
Facts.
He's got the system right now, the way we build up. He's coached it, the way we play out. The way we play around the press is really good. This asymmetrical build-up, it's hard to explain really, but it's almost like an asymmetrical build-up, the way the players move around. It's a very fluid shape. So I think he's got getting the best out of the group of players.
Yeah.
Now, how I would like to see it improve really is we still have to remember it's a very young group. I think it's a young team, right? And I think the test's going to be when we play the bigger teams. We've got, if you look at the next 6 or 7 fixtures we've got coming up.
Watford, right?
Yeah, well, Watford is one that you'd think we'd win, but I don't take anything for granted in the Premier League. But After that, you've got the likes of
Liverpool,
Liverpool away, Man United away, Everton away, West Ham who are flying at home. So he's got 4 of the next 6 after that are really tough games. I think that would tell us a bit more about where we are. But generally, I would say he's getting the best out of these players in the right positions, in the right shape. And I think sometimes you have to make difficult decisions. It's a bit like, do you remember when the old England managers used to always try to fit Gerrard and Lampard in the same team?
That age-old debate,
I think sometimes you have to think, do you know what? Odegaard and Smith Rowe, it wasn't, I'm not saying it can't work. Odegaard can play at 10, Smith Rowe 11. But I think Lacazette, if you can get Lacazette in the team, you can't get Odegaard in the team as well. He's got to make tough decisions. And I think it's all about sort of like, for me, it's all about the right combinations across the pitch, the right players in the right positions. And if you have to make difficult decisions sometimes, make that decision, leave a player out. But I'll tell you what I liked about him on Saturday. When we were playing Leicester and they played a back three, we struggled against back three teams at the start of the season.
Yeah, I still got PTSD against back three teams, Zach. I don't know if someone's just going to be pressing alone, man. So I hear you on that.
Yeah, so but he's found the shape now to almost like be less blunt against back three teams, you know, because they were struggling to score. We hadn't scored a goal against a back three team up until the Villa game. But in this new shape, it seems to sort of like go well against a back three team. Now, what I liked on Saturday was when I was watching the game, I wasn't at the game, by the way, but saw it on television. Leicester played the back three first half, and he coped with it really well. And Rodgers changed to a 4-2-3-1 second half.
And put Barnes on,
Yeah, what he did really well, Rodgers, was he brought on the wide players, and we played a very compact defence first half with Saka and Smith Rowe taking care of their wing backs. But in the second half, those 2 wide players drew our fullbacks out in wide areas and created space between the fullback and the centre backs, which enabled runners to get in the gaps. Like I'm trying to think of the fullback who got in at the start of the second half. He had a shot. Thomas, he had a shot across the goal.
He always does that against us.
And then Harvey Barnes got in, didn't he? And Ramsdale made a good save. But what he did was then he tweaked it again. He brought on Odegaard and changed it because Lacazette was. We needed to get out a bit more. We were struggling to get out. And Odegaard, although
camped in our own half, I agree.
Yeah, we camped in our own half first 25 minutes, and he changed it as well. Got an extra body in front of the defence to play out and get us up the pitch more. So and Odegaard came on, did well, and he took Lacazette off. So I just think he's getting a lot of things right, Arteta, at the moment. And but in terms of how he can improve it, I think that I want to see this against, obviously, no disrespect to the bigger teams. This is going to be the test to see where we are. But and I do still think it's a young team. I still think it's not going to be smooth, but it's going to be setbacks. I just want to see how we react actually to going a goal down, because at the moment, the way we're set up is almost like to get that first goal, have something to hang on to, and I think Ramsdale, I want to see how he reacts when he makes an error. I want to see how the team react. And I think the other thing is teams are going to start working us out, because at the moment he's changed this new shape. It has been working, but you can bet your life the likes of your Klopps and your
just like when Arteta first took the job, and it's like at first he was hitting everyone by surprise, and it's like they kind of found us out. And you made a great point, and I wanted to kind of ask you about it. That's kind of what I was saying in relation to improving, because I do think at a time they're going to figure us out in that, Tomiyasu is very narrow. Our width still predominantly comes out the left. Smith Rowe will float in there and we'll create 1-2s. So I guess what I wanted to also ask you, would you say the 4-4-2//4141/hybrid, whatever, is here to stay? Would you want it to stay, or do you think the jury's still out on a lot of things?
I think the jury's still out, to be honest. I don't think managers sometimes don't like to call formations. He probably don't even see it as a 4-4-2 or 4-4-1, whatever you call it. He probably just sees it as a fluid formation that flips between a 4-4-2 out of possession to almost like a 4-2-3-1 build up to a 4-4-2. I think managers now in modern football are not wielded to these old formations that we talk about. They just see it as fluid systems, and they don't like to see it like that. So the thing for me is going to be what he does when Xhaka comes back in the team, because to play this system, you've got to have a lot of energy, a lot of dynamism, and you've got to recover your positions quickly. And we've got the players who can do that. Xhaka can't do that, can he? So I think if Xhaka comes back in, I think it'll change to a 4-2-3-1. Something like that.
that sets me up perfectly, because I felt in the summer there was a chance to move away from Xhaka. Again, I've never been Xhaka's biggest fan, but I've never been his biggest critic. I do think that we need to move away from Xhaka. I don't think he's as bad as people make out, but he has a bag of problems that kind of harm us. And I thought with him going to Roma, I thought that was the sort of trick. Now he didn't go and it didn't happen. Now going into that Spurs game, no one had Xhaka playing. He started, he did well against Brighton, and to a degree against Palace. There were the creeping calls of maybe we can see what Xhaka plays. So do you think it's a thing where, and it's a long season, do you think it's a thing where he needs to move away from Xhaka, and Xhaka could not, I don't want to say cost him, but it could be a major reason as to why you might get Europe? And where are you at with Odegaard? Because it seems like our fans are, I don't want to say losing patience, but it feels that way, that we're losing patience on Odegaard. Obviously, Smith Rowe's going from strength to strength, and you would hope at a push that Odegaard would be it. Because for me, if I'm honest with you, Odegaard, you came from Real Madrid, there should be no contest. Smith Rowe shouldn't get a look in. That should be the goal. Now, testament to Smith Rowe, but then I have to ask you that.
Yeah, I think on Xhaka, I think the team's moving away from Xhaka. I think the team has moved away from Xhaka. You've got to remember the last few weeks, I think he's got the knee injury. He played the first game, I think, on this unbeaten run, and then I think he picked up the injury. I would say the team's moving away from Xhaka. So if he brings Xhaka back in, I think he's going to have to change slightly the style that we play. And Xhaka is Xhaka's more like your holding midfielder, because I don't think he's not a very press-resistant player as well. So if we play with Xhaka,
teams know that. They know that 100%.
So if we play Xhaka, we got to almost like accommodate Xhaka in the team, albeit he does offer some qualities. But the thing with Lokonga is, I've noticed he can sit in front of the back four. Him and Partey can alternate. One can go 6, one can go 8. They can both break the play up. They're both comfortable on both feet. They can receive the ball on either side and switch it. So and they're energetic and a lot of dynamism in that midfield partnership. So and the only thing against it is the lack of experience. So
yeah.
So that's where I'm with the Xhaka debate. And I'm like you. I've never been a massive Xhaka fan. And
I can understand why. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Xhaka by any stretch. It's just I don't think he's as bad as people make out, but he's incredibly frustrating, and that's where I agree with you. He should never have been a starting 11 player for our club. That's why we're in where we're in.
The reason he's in the team is for leadership qualities. He's obviously an experienced player, and I think in a funny sort of way, the young players look up to him, don't they? So, but then he lets them down by getting sent off. No players has had more red cards or made more errors in Premier League over the last few years than Granit Xhaka, and he's cost us a lot of games for all his qualities. And when he came, we were a top 4 team, and we've never been in the top 4 since he's been here. You can't lay all the blame at his door, but it's ironic, or not ironic. It says it all in a way, doesn't it? And I think central midfield is such a key area of football,
especially in the modern game. Yeah,
in the modern game, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So I think, for me, I think the team's moving away from Xhaka. I think the reason why he's going to get a lot of game time, low, is before we come on to the Odegaard bit, is because obviously with the African Cup of Nations coming up, we're going to lose Partey, aren't we? We ain't got no one. There's only El Neni and that, and so he will come back in for sure. But it's unfortunate, really, because I think the team's moved away from him in the last few games. So where am I with Odegaard? I think I thought when I watched him in the Burnley game, I was really impressed. He was dropping deep on the left-hand side, and I saw really good stuff. I mean, that's the game he scored his goal in, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, the free kick.
And I thought that performance was excellent. But since then, he's fallen away and he's had some poor performances. I'm struggling to understand why. I think Smith Rowe coming back in on the left-hand side, maybe the balance, he struggled to find pockets. I think for a player of that quality, you'd expect assists and goals, and it hasn't been happening. Only he would know the answer why. I don't know why. All players have bad games, but
facts.
But at the moment, it's not happening for him. I don't think he deserves to be in the team over Smith Rowe. And
definitely not the last 3 games as well, I would say.
So I'm like you. I look at formations. How could I get him in the team? We're playing a 4-4-2 at the moment. If we switch, this is a flat 4-4-2. If we switch to like a 4-4, like a diamond 4, he could play at the top of a diamond, couldn't he? Much the same way as he plays as a number 10 in a 4-2-3-1. But I think he needs to start producing. And all players now, I think the thing I like is what I was so pleased about Deluded is when he picked his team for that game, the team that won well against Villa was rewarded and kept their places for the Leicester game. And that's what I want to see. Because like Tavares stayed in the team, albeit Tierney's still out injured. But I think as good as Kieran Tierney is, and he's a better defender, Tavares, when he's playing like this, deserves to stay in the side. The same as Lokonga when he's playing well. And I think the players need to recognise that places need to be fought for and earned. And I think one of the reasons why we've been a soft touch over the years at Arsenal is simply because we haven't sort of had that culture where players earn the shirt. You know, they expect the shirt, you know, and that's why if they put in bad performances, they expect to stay in the team. I think we need to move away from that. It don't matter about the name. If those players are coming in and doing the business in the shirt, they stay in the team. And I think that obviously Kieran Tierney is a great defender and he will force his way back, and he's a future Arsenal captain, in my opinion. But at the moment, you have to say, Odegaard's not performing well enough to be in the team. He had some poor performances, and the team without him in it is doing well. So, but for all that, he didn't sulk. He came on the pitch on Saturday, put a shift in to see us over the line. A bit like Laka. Laka wasn't in the team at the start of the season.
Couldn't buy a game at the Emirates. In general, yeah, facts.
And I don't think he's going to be here next season, as much as that's a debate that we could have. But he didn't sulk. He came off the bench and he put in some performances that deserves being picked, and he forced his way back in the team. And since he's been back in the team, one excellent performance against Villa. Leicester, I think he's pivotal to what we did in the first half, but I think he faded in the second. It's hard for him to keep that intensity up.
That's why I think he might be dropped for Watford, if I'm honest with you. I think we go with one up front for Watford.
But in answer to your question on Odegaard, where am I? I think he's a very talented player, and I think he needs to produce more.
You said it, you kind of alluded it to it, and it ties into what we're talking about with Odegaard. Now, I've seen Mikel Arteta flirt between a lot of options in midfield. At times he's gone with Partey and Odegaard, maybe due to necessity. That's been a bit hit and miss. It's worked in some games, it hasn't worked in others. Partey and Lokonga, I think the jury's still out, but that is a partnership we need to have in our locker. We do need to have 2 sixes. Where are you at with the midfield men and the partnerships then, and whatnot? Is that an area where we need to look for in January to potentially improve? And like you said, maybe move further away from Xhaka.
Yeah, definitely. I like this partnership with Partey and Lokonga, I have to say. I think it's working really well, but I think it's working really well because it's a balanced team structure now with the fullbacks don't, like, the left back is not bombing on, he's sitting and then he's taking his cue when to go up high. It's not like he's up high all the time. It's balanced.
It's not just random madness going on.
You've got the double pivot close together. You've got the 2 fullbacks holding the width. So the balance across the middle of the team there when we build up is there. It wasn't always there before. The spaces are smaller because we're higher up the pitch, which I like, because it means that players have got time to recover, get back in their positions if we lose the ball in transition. So I think Arteta wants to play a 4-3-3. I think he's always said that. He wants a team, you know, he's almost like his days at Man City. Yeah, you want that as well, yeah. So the question then is how we set up in that 4-3-3, because I think you want 2 ball carriers and 1 person to sit. So I don't know what your view is, how you'd set a 4-3-3 up, because I would be for that if we got the players.
We have the personnel, man.
Yeah, it's down to personnel, isn't it? So
it's crazy because you could do it with Odegaard and Smith Rowe like what Wenger used to do, but I think it's incredibly naive. Neither player looks like they can quite do it. Then you're asking a lot for Partey. If something happens to Partey, Lokonga fills in. You're asking a lot for the inexperienced him to show that discipline. So I feel the same way you kind of feel. I don't know if it's something we can actually do at this moment in time.
I don't think we got the players to play it, and as simple as that. So I think the way we're set up at the moment suits the players we've got. I think he's finally arrived at a system that does suit the players we've got at the moment in the team. So where I am with the midfield, I think our midfield needs strengthening, definitely. And it's just where he finds the players to do that at the moment. I don't think they're going to be found in January, although we've got to get out and buy somebody or get someone in on loan, because we're losing Partey, and that's going to be a massive miss. He's been the way his recoveries and his shielding in the back 4, breaking.
He's actually scored now.
And he's scoring now with his head. He stopped shooting, and he.
So concussions, yeah.
So that's where I am with the midfield. Yeah. So
Speaking of Partey, what have you made of Partey this season? Because I feel, if I'm completely honest, I think everyone can see he's an incredible midfielder. There's not much he can't do. And I'm a big fan of him. And I had to stop and check myself and say, am I overcompensating? Because if I'm honest, it appears the jury's still out. Because for the money, for the talent, it is there, but it hasn't always showed itself. And I think pre-season, it was sad to see him injured because he was starting so well. He somewhat picked up where he's left off. And he's someone I'm looking at to be a leader. So what have you made of Partey so far? And on that, my next question was, what have you actually made of our season so far? Because right now there's a lot of optimism. At the start of the season, there definitely wasn't. There's been a lot of bumps and bruises. You said at the start, and I agree, is that not that it'll be a merry-go-round, but kind of what we're seeing already, it is a theme because we've got a young side. So what have you made of our season? Where do you think we can go? Are you actually of the belief of Europe and all of that sort of stuff?
I think, first of all, I think Partey last year, he was injured for most of the season. Every time he come back, he got injured again. It's very hard to judge him last season. I think this year, and also the team was very unsettled last season. Up to when he came into the club, the team was just playing poorly up to Christmas last year. It was only when he brought Smith Rowe in the team at the start of around Christmas against Chelsea that we suddenly had an uplift in form. And to be fair, Odegaard came on loan around the same time, and we saw improvements. And the Partey-Odegaard combination passed in. It was looking good. It was looking good, and Smith Rowe in the pockets was working. So it picked up in the second half of last season, and Partey started to, get involved in some good combinations there with players around the pitch. But I think his first season was really a lot of injuries. And I think he struggled for form at times because of coming back from injuries. I think he was rushed back too early in a lot of the games because we need him so badly. But this season, he's got right. He didn't play at the start because he was injured, but since he's come in, he's stayed fit. I think that's helped. The settled team, the settled back five has helped. And I think now with the dynamism coming into the team, and I just think the combinations now are better. And I think he's looked at, this is the Partey that I remember seeing at Atletico Madrid. And he can play. He's played in a 4-4-2 at Atletico Madrid, didn't he?
He can do a lot of
that, I think this season I've been really impressed with him. Where do I think that we're going to go this year? I think we should be challenging for the top four, and I think a slight window has opened. So if we can get our act together, the top three are gone. They're over the hill. They'll be the three competitors.
It's only United spot, right? Yeah.
The United spot there is, I think, by no means assured or settled. And I think so. The Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool compete for the league. They are way in front of everybody else. Man United, you think, would still finish fourth. They've got the talent. And I think the Cristiano who's carrying them at the moment is Ronaldo FC at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Like us, I think their weakness is in central midfield. I think that Fred McTominay partnership is not great for me. I think they can't seem to get the right formation with Pogba and Fernandes in it. So, and I think also the way Ollie sets the team up, I'll be very frustrated if I was a Man United fan. I just, I think he started to get it slightly right this week, and although he made a strange tactical decision again in their game in Italy when he
straight
from a back three, it's weird the way he's not really a great coach for me. If they had the right coach,
they'd be scary if they had a good coach.
If they had got Conte, and that's why I think the Man United fans were really pissed off this week, because that game, Tottenham Man United, was literally El Sacco, wasn't it? They were joking it was El Sacco.
It really was. It really, really, really was.
and I thought the way Nuno set the team up was almost like an audition. Not Nuno, sorry, Ollie set the team up almost like for a Conte formation, three at the back, and that's what he played, 3-4-1-2. But he won that game, and obviously now he's more secure in his job at the moment. In the meantime, Tottenham have got Conte, which I think will. If Man United had Conte, I think they will be back in the title race for the rest of the season. He's a elite manager. So, but I think that's opened the door for us slightly, because I don't think that's nailed down that fourth spot now. I think we're competing against a few teams there at the moment who are looking good, like West Ham.
West Ham looking good under David Moyes. Really good.
Yeah, fantastic. And to get that fourth spot or to get even in a European place, I think that we've got to beat West Ham in that game in December. And obviously we got to be better than West Ham. And West Ham, for me, at the moment, looking really good. So that's going to be a challenge. So if I'm realistic, I wanted us to be 5th this season, but I want us to be pushing for the top 4. A big club like Arsenal should be challenging for the top 4. But at the same time, it's almost like the club have taken almost like this rebuilding step of going to youth, that almost telling us to be patient. That maybe
kind of discounts your expectations, sort of.
Yeah. I think almost like, for example, funny enough, last year he was relying heavily on experience, like William came in the team, Louise,
and they all let him down.
Those are, they let him down, because I thought probably because he felt an inexperienced manager, he trusted experienced players. This year they thought, him and Edu, do you know what? We're moving away from experience. We're going to rip up the whole thing, rip it up to bits, start again, go with youth. But with that, you expect the fans to buy into patience. I think as fans, as long as we
needed something to buy into, full stop, in my opinion, which we got.
We got it now. Yeah, we got it now. We got it.
Only took 18 months, 2 years.
I still think that Europe is the minimum that I'd expect this year. We got to finish in the top 6, to get or top 5 to get Europe. I think it'd be great if we suddenly could sneak into that, because the one thing I'll say is, one advantage we've got: no European football. He's got longer to work on the training ground with the players. We've seen that already, and I think
it's a week to focus on Liverpool as well.
Yeah, and more recovery time for the players. So one of the reasons I think why the players can be as intense as they are, that we've talked about, if you're only playing 1 game a week, you can be that, can't you? So what are my expectations this season? I want to see us pushing for the top 4. Minimum expectation for me is a European place, because Arsenal has to be in Europe, and we're only going to attract quality players. I think we can't just keep relying on being a big club but not acting like a big club. The big club name, it will always be there, and it will attract some players. London, I get that, but
it starts to fade after a while.
It starts to fade after a while. You don't see, I travel all over the world, not so much lately, obviously with COVID, but used to see Arsenal shirts every country I went. Arsenal, Man United,
City and whatnot now.
You don't see so many Arsenal shirts now, and that nobody wants. People wanted to grow up and be Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, 15 years ago, but now. Oh, right. Some people might want to be Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, but I think there's less Arsenal players you can identify with now on the world stage. But
people might want to be Xhaka. Some Arsenal fans were saying Xhaka is better than Vieira, so there's a funny.
If your son's getting sent off every Sunday in the league, they want to be.
He's on the right. He's on the right track. You're fully correct.
Yeah, that's why I'm on the team. But I think as fans, I think we have to give the team time, and because we have to accept the club have gone in this direction, and I do notice when I've been to the Emirates this year, there is a much bigger support for the team than I've ever known.
More togetherness with everyone connected, home and away, fans, whatever. I'd say,
and it's great to see. It's great to see, So look, it's going to be a long season, and there will be a few bumps along the road. It'd be interesting to see how we react when we have the first few setbacks, because we could easily. I expect us not to win at Liverpool. The Man United game's massive, and if we didn't beat West Ham at home, then of course questions would be asked again. I think that's the lot of a modern football manager. So, but I just think the season at the moment, after such a rocky start, we've got more points at this stage of the season than we had this time last year. I think the team's in a better
been sacked for last November. Most managers wouldn't have lasted for what happened in this time a year ago. You're right.
Yeah, so that's the way I feel. I think, I've been fairly happy with the season, the way we've turned it around. Sort of like we're playing good football as well. I didn't see much good football last year, even when we were getting the results.
Not at all, man.
So that's where I am with the team. I don't know what you feel, what you think, what you feel.
I'm like you. I mean, this is why I wanted you on my channel, because you articulate it in a much better way than me. I think we started poorly. We've somewhat got it back. There's a bit of galvanization with the fans and everyone. We're all on the same page, because all we needed is to see an identity, and we're all getting behind the young players. I know certain fans, I feel we're in a bit of a territory now where certain fans need to understand, even though we're in form, we're going to have games like Brighton where, yes, let's sit down and talk about how poor we might have been and what happens on another day. But it's not just going to be a winning thing. I know it's great to be on this winning run and stuff, but we're not going to win games every week. We're going to drop silly points. And I feel for me, the one thing I want to see is I want to see a bit more self-control over the whole 90, because 9 times out of 10 now, what I've liked is we've played teams whose form's been poor and we've been able to exploit that rather than them turning it around against us. But I have seen a little bit against Spurs, against Leicester, against Villa to say, oh, you know what, another team might get something out of these games. And I agree with the main point. I agree with what you said is setbacks, because it's all going well. You know, in typical fashion, when we have that first loss, it doesn't matter how good Ramsdale's been previously or whatever, it all goes down the shitter. So I want to see how we react to it. And I want to see when the injuries come, when we've got AFCON and that's about 4 players gone, how we react, because you kind of have to judge teams at its weakness. And when I look at it on a rather harsh thing, I do think the new young players have installed something. I feel Arteta, how he handles Lacazette, Partey, he's doing a lot better. His man and game management is better, but I still think we need a lot of variables to get to put in a performance. Everything still kind of has to go our way, and I still think I haven't really learned nothing. I still think we're in the same territory. I know you can beat Leicester because you did it last year. Same against United away, same against Chelsea. It's just the devil's in the details for me, sort of thing. What would you say is the minimum Arteta has to achieve to somewhat keep his job? I'm not advocating him being sacked, but if he was to, if he finishes 8th again, but there's a style of play, we're seeing what these players are developing into and we can dream of next season, would that be enough to keep him, or is it Europe in some capacity or bust?
Do you know what? I don't really know the answer to that question.
That's why I asked you, because I don't either.
And when I say I don't know the answer to that question, I mean it because you'd expect that any other club with a big club who has a manager who can't get us into Europe for 3 straight seasons, get us back into the Champions League for 3 straight seasons.
They would have been sacked.
He would go. As simple as that. You look at Tottenham; they've sacked their manager quite quickly. They've acted brutally, and some people are saying they're showing ambition. You know. They identified they picked the wrong manager and sacked him, you know. So, but I think Arteta is safe at Arsenal, and the reason I say that is because as much as the whole thing now, the structure of the club now is from top to bottom is inexperience. You've got inexperience. When I say it, I know these Cronkies have been around a long time, but they're not really football people.
So they might as well be inexperienced, yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at it, inexperienced manager, inexperienced backroom staff, inexperienced technical director, inexperienced players. The whole club is inexperienced, and that's the route we've gone down. So when you look at it like that, I just don't think he's under any pressure, and I think he knows it. I think when he came to Wembley, he knows. He came as a coach. And they made that decision to upgrade him to manager, and they gave him everything. You know, and that's the problem with him. He might be a good coach, tactically understand things, but does he understand how to deal with players when they're in bad troughs? Does he understand all those other things that experienced managers like Wenger and Ferguson understood about the game?
He's had the pampered life. It's just been all City for him as a manager.
And that brings me to the point that I don't think a top club like Arsenal should ever appoint a manager who basically is in his first appointment as a manager. You know,
definitely not with the people off the field in the same position.
It's a massive risk, and that's what I feel about it. But I just think he's safe, and so whatever he achieves this season, I think he'll be there next season. The only problem you've got is if the fans were to turn against him, if he was to lose the players, the players seem incredibly on side with him. They're playing for him at the moment. The fans are behind him. I think what always does for a manager deluded in football is if the fans stop going to games or they lose the dressing room.
That's why I think Nuno got clipped as quickly as he did, because I mean, watching it on TV, you could see Spurs, certain fans were dancing, some fans were booing, and I mean, you know, people vote with their wallets, and I think that's what clipped him.
I think he was gone the moment he took off Lucas Moura.
Yeah, I think we all looked at him and said, "What are you doing?"
but you know, but I just think Arteta's safe at the moment. The only thing for the owners would be, and I think it did for Wenger in the end, there were a lot of empty seats in the stadiums towards the back end of his reign. And he never lost the players, of course, but what did for Emery was he lost the players. So when the managers either lose the players or you start getting empty seats in stadiums, owners start panicking. And that then start asking questions, don't they? And at the moment, though, I think he's safe. And I think this season, I think Eddie's dressed it up as a long-term project. He said you need to assess us when we got the players on the pitch. So obviously at the moment everything's going well, but I still think that they hope that we're going to get back in European football next year. But if it doesn't happen, I think they're going to stay with it for at least another season. And I think he's safe this year. But the fans might not see it like that. I think at the moment the fans in the, I think you've probably got 2 sets of Arsenal fans. You've got the fans in the stadium, the travelling fans incredibly behind him at the moment. But you've certainly got certain fans, I think, who I see on social media and other Arsenal fans who are not with him at the moment. And the moment the bad results come, they will quickly voice their concerns. So you can just see it. Football's like that. Some fans are the way they are, very fickle, you know. And so I think I think sometimes if you've got a good CV, if you've got credit in the bank, like Aubameyang went through a scoring drought, but he
you know
carried us.
what he's bringing to the game.
You know what he
Typically,
brings, and he's got credit in the bank with his 2 previous seasons. Kieran Tierney hasn't quite been at it this year. I think he's been slightly injured at times, playing with injuries, but he's got credit in the bank. But with managers, Arteta had a little bit of credit in the bank because he won the FA Cup in his first season. But I think that credit now is gone, and he's got his team now. He said, "Judge me on my team," and so he's going to be judged on his team. And I think he, I just think he'll get this season as almost like a free hit. So I don't think that even if he didn't get a European place, if he didn't win a trophy, I still think he'll be our manager come next season.
And I'm where you're at. I think, obviously, I think the start of the season, there was COVID issues, there was injuries. I give him that luxury. I still think, regardless of the playing squad, the way we performed across those 3 games was atrocious in all aspects of it, whether he's dealt a shorthand or not. And then I look at it when Edu you mentioned it as well. He made the interview, judge us when we're all fit. So that tells me what we're judging Arteta too far ahead as a common fan. Now the whole team is fit. I think if it was to go wrong now is when they might look at him. So I think there's a lot of credit. And I wanted to ask you, looking at the structure, do you think Edu has more authority than Arteta? Because on the face of it, a technical director surely is above the manager. But then I look at it, I think it's him, because you look at all the athletic articles and things like, for instance, Edu wanted Neto, Arteta said Ramsdale, and there's a couple of other examples, Tomiyasu and Emerson Royal and things like that. And it's sometimes you see a technical director throw things at a manager to work with, and then you see stuff like us. I do think the club are betting on Arteta slightly more than they do. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's exactly. I agree 100% with you. I think it's. I agree with you. It should be really Edu who's the one. That's his role. But I do think that Arteta has more of a say, and I think they work together. But I think if you ask me who wears the trousers in that relationship,
exactly, that's what I'm getting at.
I would say it's Arteta, and I think it's because I think the whole club has bought into his football knowledge that they see that he brought to the club from Pep, and the fact also that he's an Arsenal man as well obviously helps. But no, I just think he's incredibly well. If you look at the way he's treated, I think that, and I'm not saying this, I say this without any real knowledge, because obviously, like you, like all of us, we're not at the training ground. We don't hear what goes around the club. But the perception I get is with Mikel, he knows he's safe. There's a certain arrogance about the way he is. Yeah, I agree. And I don't mean that as a bad point on his part.
No, it's not as a diss. It's just it borders on unhealthy.
Yeah, there's a very thin divided line between confidence and overconfidence and arrogance, and I think that he feels, to me, he's never worried when he's obviously, you don't know, managers must, when they lose football matches, they take it home with them. I don't care who you are, don't care how many European Cups you won, how many Premier Leagues you won
on that afternoon, yeah.
Because I used to look at Alex Ferguson when he lost the game. It was in his face. Do you know what I mean? No matter how many Premier Leagues he won, and Wenger was the same. No? So, but I just think Arteta knows it's a young project. He's been given certain assurances. I think he knows, because it's inexperienced players, a team around him, inexperienced players. I think he knows he's getting the backing of everybody, and he knows it's his club, and
he knows he can leverage that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do sense with him. He knows it. He is dominating that relationship with Edu. I think he gets his way. And to be fair to him, he made that decision. Tomiyasu over Emerson has looked a good decision, hasn't it?
Facts, fantastic decision.
Yeah, and
makes
I think
Edu a bit funny.
The recruitment, really. Whatever you say, the recruitment this year, because I've always slagged off Arsenal for recruitment.
No,
some of the recruitment, we would have won the league in 2015-16 if we got the recruitment right. Because we had Ozil and Sanchez, prime Ozil and Sanchez.
2 signings in that year.
If we had bought a centre half and a decent forward to play alongside, and I don't mean to disrespect Giroud, but he had a stinker of a season.
He went on a goal drought, didn't he, if I remember correctly?
So if we'd had the right players that season, if they'd gone out and bought a holding midfielder, a decent centre half to play alongside Koscielny, and also a decent forward to complement Ozil and Sanchez, we would have walked that league that year. And I'm not an arrogant person who sort of like thinks that we're.
But it would have been our time, 100%.
It would have been our time, but we missed that opportunity. But the recruitment then over the years, the likes of Kolasinac, Mustafi,
Cedric, William,
you could go on, couldn't you?
On and on.
Xhaka was a bad buy when Conte of Leicester was out there. So I think the recruitment's been poor, but the recruitment that they've made in this direction they've made so far looks to be good, doesn't it? Even though they're inexperienced, Tomiyasu's come in and his performance has been unbelievable.
Yeah, where you at on these players as well, man? Because I was meant to ask you where you at on our summer recruitment specifically. Because obviously at the start we might have said we're spending 150 mil. We can't see how any of these guys specifically improve our team. Now you can kind of see that they had a plan. So where you at with the signings? Obviously Ramsdale's probably the number one. You got Ben White, you got Tavares, you got Lokonga, and the rest of them. Where you at with them collectively and what they've brought to the table?
Well, I'm collectively with it, thinking that the recruitment's been spot on. And I have to say, I'll hold my hands up. I'm not one to sort of
You're
like
not alone. I'm there as well.
When I saw that recruitment, I wasn't overexcited. I thought we spent a lot of money. And I'll be honest with you, I wanted Ben White's a lot of money for a player. We paid the English tax, and it worried me that we were spending all our money because he was our marquee signing in effect. I didn't want Ramsdale, not because he'd been relegated for.
Just you couldn't. You just I know what you mean.
I just didn't see what
was going on. Now
I look at him now and I think I never saw this. And the funny thing was that I see him at the Emirates when he played for Sheffield United when we drew it 1-1. I wasn't over impressed, and I see him at Bournemouth. Funny enough, Arteta's first game when he was in goal for Bournemouth, and that was his first game. Arteta's first game was against Ramsdale, who was in the Bournemouth goal. And I didn't see it. And also, I've been to see Gillingham near where I live. I see him playing goal for Wimbledon and make an absolute howler. So
he's got that. All the Sheffield United fans I spoke to when we signed said he's got a howler in him, and they ain't seen none of that. Maybe he got him at the right time.
I wasn't thinking, God, I didn't. I was thinking, we need to keep Ryan at Brighton as backup to Leno. Obviously, I didn't want Martinez sold, but that was the first point. But I thought we should maybe go for Johnson of West Brom, or another keeper, a foreign keeper. I wasn't in the Ramsdale camp, but I've been proved wrong. I wasn't over excited about the Ben White signing. I've been proved wrong.
I am still not. To be fair.
Tomiyasu, I knew nothing about because I don't watch a lot of Italian football. Odegaard, obviously, I knew he would. He was second half last season, but I wasn't against that. But I preferred Madison. I'll be honest with you. And I look at it now and I think, do you know what? Once again, I've been proved wrong. But so you have to say the recruitment, when they sat down, Tavares and Lokonga, again, I didn't know much about.
But they brought something.
And they've brought something. So all the recruitment, hold my hands up. They've got that right. You have to give them credit where credit's due.
Facts.
Everyone Arteta have recruited really well. In the past, we haven't done that. We recruited poorly. And also the benefit of it is, although we've spent 150 million, the wage bill was significantly reduced. These players are on less
peanuts really for footballers. And they will probably sign better contracts as they develop. But it's peanuts, really.
Varane costs a lot more money, but it's going to cost Man United more money in terms of his wages. The Ronaldo wages massive. So, I think with the summer recruitment, I'm really on side with it now. I've been so impressed, and to be honest with you, maybe it's something that in the past we've gone for experienced players or older players who basically come to Arsenal at the end of their careers with an easy life almost.
Anything other than to be a footballer, yeah.
We've got young, hungry players who wanna put this club back to where they think it should be, and if whether they're good enough or not, at least that's a good thing. We've got hungry players who want to play for the badge and want to sort of go out there and put performances because they've got a lot to prove. And so if you've recruited good players and they've got those characteristics, that's a good combination for success, and hopefully they can push us back into a European place.
I like what you said there. It's because obviously, as much as I want everyone to play for the badge and things, I've looked at a lot of Arsenal players a lot of the time, and I can't say they're playing for themselves. I have no doubt that Ramsdale wants to play for Arsenal, the fans, all of that. But if you see an opportunity to play for a big club, you see that we're not where we want to be, and you can make yourself a number one. Obviously, moving to Arsenal, obviously, is going to help his England chances. I'm quite prepared for you to be. I'm happy with that as long as there's a reason for you to want to improve. As you said, it's like the experienced players, it's almost like they are doing Arsenal a favour. And one thing that has annoyed me, like even with the number of departures, I don't care how they've gone, but whether it's been Bellerin on loan, Xhaka was going to go, half of the players that have left or have been on the verge of leaving, it never feels to me that Arsenal are trying to move you lot on. It's almost like you guys are saying we want to move on now. I don't necessarily care as these lot go, but it's an issue in that. I've got a couple of questions for you, and I know we've only got 3 minutes, so I want to get them in. How many points should we get this season in the league to keep his job, Graham? I think this was when we were speaking about Arteta from the Sensei Sammer. What a name.
How many points does he need to get?
Yeah, difficult.
Do you know what got fourth place last season? I really, that's a difficult question for me to answer at the top of my head.
Difficult in a half.
I think I'll answer it by saying, how many points does he need? I mean, if he got enough points to get us top 4, that would be fantastic. I haven't really given it. I'll have to give it some thought, but
difficult, yeah, man.
It's difficult to work out, mate. To be honest, I'm sorry, I can't really answer that one.
It all depends. It all depends because we've seen.
It also depends what teams are doing around you, doesn't it?
That's what I was going to say.
A points total one season might get you your target, whereas it might not get you a target another season. So
that's
depends, doesn't it? I think the Premier League now is so competitive. There's so many good teams up there.
You can't really make them shout.
The teams to be taking points off each other, so it's very difficult to judge. And I think we're in that little mini league. There's five teams there. There's Man United, us, Tottenham, Leicester, and West Ham. That I see is our league. If we can win that league, or at least come first or second,
that's a fantastic analogy. Really,
that would be fantastic this season and get us a minimum Europa. But I don't want to play Europa League football. I want to be back in the Champions League. We should be aiming for Champions League. And the only thing is, I talked to a friend of mine who's a Chelsea fan, a massive Chelsea fan, and he says he thinks Arsenal have got a sneaky chance for the top 4. Like me, he sees it like me. You haven't got European football, he said. That is a tremendous advantage, you know. And I think that's something I think that, in a way, could benefit us and get, if we can sort of keep players fit. We get a little bit of the right recruitment in January when the African players. We're losing Party, because I look at our spine at the moment, dude. I look at Ramsdale, I look at White, Gabriel, Party, and AUBAMEYAng. That's the best spine we've had for years.
Mate, years.
And if we can keep them fit every week, and we're only playing one game a week, there's no reason why we can't. I think sort of give Man United a run for their money for 4th, and that's not being, being cocky as an Arsenal fan, because West Ham fans will turn around and say we're better than you at the moment, and every right to say that the way they're playing. And Tottenham have now got Conte in.
It's just an opportunistic.
Newcastle going to get that owners coming in, so you don't know how that's going to pan out. I think it'd be too early for them to turn. They've got to stay up, really.
And Emery said no because for whatever reason.
So it will be difficult though, because I think Leicester are a good side. Indeed, he comes back, he improves them. Tottenham now got Conte. Man United will get it right, and West Ham are a fantastic team this season. So, but why can't we be confident the way we're now playing to sort of think if we can just carry this run on, keep the momentum going, we should really be aiming for push for top 4. That's what I say.
And that's I agree with you. The only thing I would say is different is, for me, I think all the variables are set up just like last season. As poor as we were, we had to try very hard to not qualify for Europe because everybody was dropping points. And you alluded to it earlier. There's sometimes we've seen top 4 in other years. The points tally would win you the league. Sometimes it won't do much for you. I just look at ourselves and we are vulnerable to self-implosion. Now, when I see us play at 12:30 away to Leicester with the big games to follow when we win, I'm all for it. But I don't know if we're going to carry it on. I look back at the Palace game and these boys, because they're young, I don't know what it is, it might be, they seem like they get a bit complacent. I still want us, and Arteta even said it, I want us to behave like we haven't achieved anything, because for the Palace game, it looked like we was on a big run of games. We ain't lost. We took the lead. We just assumed from that minute we took the lead, the game was done. And I think that's an issue. And I think considering Brighton and Palace, they were missing a number of key players. We've got to be able to strike while the iron's hot and actually take advantage of that. So I look at ourselves, and a lot of these players have never been around this block because, as you said, they're young. They've just been signed, and I don't really have faith in our experienced players, excluding the obvious ones that are good. So I'm going to need them to stand up to be counted. And as you said, when it's not going right for us, are we able to stop that? Are we able to stop the bad form? Are we able to not lose when we deserve to lose? It's not always about at our best for me. My last question for you would be, again, I saved it till last. Do we miss Granit Xhaka? Do we actually miss him? Because to be fair to him, the Spurs results, the Brighton results, and then obviously what's happened, you'd say no. So do we miss Granit Xhaka?
Well, you just answered your own question, mate. I don't. I said earlier, I think the team's moved away from Granit Xhaka, so I don't think we do miss him. But there's if you look at I looked at the stats the other week. The win rate with Xhaka in the team is slightly higher than with him not in the team.
He's always playing.
But he's always playing. Yeah. So, but I think that if we want to get to where we want to get, and this team needs to grow, I think we need to move on from Granit Xhaka, and I think we've been better without him over the last few weeks. Yes, there's always going to be inconsistency when you've got any group of young players. The Palace performance you mentioned there was a case in point. It was a performance that we started well, we dropped off, and then we were struggling to retrieve a game. But I think the players took a lot out of the fact that they come back and were able to retrieve that game, saved grace and kept the winning run going. So. And so the one thing you miss with Granit Xhaka is his experience now, and his experience on the pitch of organising the team. That's the one thing that I think we do miss with him. Do we miss him from the footballing side? How can you miss him when the Conga's coming in doing what he's doing at the moment? So, and I do think that we need to move on from him. But I still think Arteta loves him. I still think he'll come back in. And it is a squad game, but in answer to your question, no, we haven't missed him recently, have we?
And I know I said last question, but it's just come to me now. Where you at with Leno? Almost a forgotten man.
Yeah, look, penny for his thoughts on that Ramsdale save.
Facts.
When Peter Schmeichel says it's the best save he's seen for years,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble, and it's a bit like any sport you play. You want your teammates to do well, even when you're not in the team. You want the team to win, but you would be human if you didn't think, God, he's just made a worldie there. That he's almost like ended my Arsenal career.
Yeah, I'm not going to get a game again.
And the camera, do you notice on Saturday the camera went straight?
That was annoying me. That was annoying me. They're trying to make it a drama, man.
Yeah. So I think that, and Leno would not want to be not playing football because he's got it's a World Cup year in Qatar at the end of next year, isn't it? Or was it?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So he needs to be in the German team, doesn't he?
It's the worst year to be on the bench.
So he needs to be in the Arsenal team to get in the German team. So yeah, I think where I'm with Leno, I think that I think we made the wrong call. We should have kept Martinez if one of them was to go. I think Leno had one good season, but the injury to him obviously was. Football is defined sometimes by injuries, and that injury, unfortunately, we lost momentum. Martinez come in and was excellent. I think he really deserved to be the number one. Leno came back in last year without putting up any trees, did okay. And then unfortunately at the start of the season, he was in the team at the start when we were struggling, lost his place.
Battered,
and Ramsdale's come in and has literally just been so good that I can't see.
Somehow gets better every week. He's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So look, where I'm with Leno, I think he will go. I think he could go in January.
That's what I would like to see. I mean, from a selfish point of view, I would like him to stay. If something happens, we've got a certified keeper to step up. But, I don't want to keep unhappy players. And I do think there's a couple of things we need to do in Jan. I think we probably need to look of loaning Balogun out, getting a centre mid in, looking at the Lenos, the Kolasinac, potentially El Nene, even Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who's been off the bench and whatnot, seeing if there's something we can do in these situations. But, I mean, the club must have known this. Something's clearly changed with Leno because it looked like he was on his way out, whether the offers were there or not. So I'd imagine the club knew something would happen.
He didn't want to commit to that new contract, did he? That changed everything,
So that's the issue. And then obviously you've got Eddie and Nketiah, who we need to decide what we're doing. And again, he can agree a move for free to foreign clubs. So
I think he wants to go, but I think he thinks he should go to a bigger club than the club.
He thinks he's better than he is. I'll be honest.
And I think sometimes you need to move away from that mindset. Go to a club, even if you don't think they're as big as what you think you should be playing for. Prove yourself there, then another big club's going to come in for you. But he just needs to be playing football. And
I mean, he had Palace offer, and in personal terms broke it down. So that tells me that football isn't necessarily the priority there, is it? It's a bit unfair to him, but yeah. It's a brazy one, man, really and truly. So yeah, man, I can't lie, Graham. This has been fantastic, but I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you're in the working day. Massive appreciation for doing that. Let them know where they can find you. I've put your Twitter, your Twitter account there. But you want anything else?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm on Twitter, Graham B195, and I'm going to be doing a show on Lee Judge's TV on Saturday called the Arsenal Team Talk.
Go and follow
maybe we can get you on that sometime because your
what time would that be as well, just so everybody knows?
That's going to be 10 o'clock Saturday morning. 10 o'clock Saturday morning. It's Lee Judge's TV, the Arsenal Team Talk, previewing the Watford game. So I'm doing some stuff with Dan Potts on that. So I'll be doing a little bit on that channel. And then obviously the Tactical Insight show, AFTV, is every Monday at the moment with James Bayliss. And I'll just leave you with this one thing, because obviously, if one day they ask me who they want to take over from me on that show, you would be the guy. I'll tell you.
I appreciate that, my guy.
Because I have tremendous respect. I used to watch your tactical stuff yourself on your channel and really enjoy it. I think you've got a great understanding of the game and tactics yourself. And I think that you've got a future. So if anyone was to say to me who would want to take over on my show, because I'm not going to be doing it forever. You know, I'm 60 this year now.
You're 60 years young, man, Graham.
60 years young,
still fight there.
Yes, you would be my choice, mate, because a lot of admiration. Just keep going with it, bro. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing good stuff, and just keep at it, mate. And you know, I think you've got a future in this business. All right.
Oh man, Graham, I don't know what to say. I appreciate that. I appreciate the good conversation. I mean, this is why I wanted you here, because you know I'd love to have you here for longer. But
well, we'll do something once a month, mate. How about that? You know.
Yeah, man. I mean, if that's what the people want, we'll get that going once a month.
It's up to the people if they want us to come on, and look, maybe we can do some sort of tactical thing. You know,
I'm open to anything you want to do, Graham. Man.
Yeah,
I love having you.
Yeah, and we'll talk something through, and this is almost like a football conversation today about Arsenal, but maybe we should do something tactically, just sort of like show the people a few tactical things, you know, because we both understand that side of it, and we could do it.
And we both love it, yeah.
We could put something together, I'm pretty sure. We'll talk about it off air, maybe on WhatsApp or on Twitter or something, DM me, and we'll talk something and maybe put something together over the coming months. And
yeah, look, I love that. We'll cook something together, man.
Yeah. And, you know, if I can... You know, I'd love to see you on AFTV as well. I think you deserve.
People would as well.
You deserve more exposure, mate. Honestly.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I told you stop cutting onions, Graham, man.
But you look, big up for inviting me on, and
no, man, appreciate you for coming on, man. You know,
we'll do some regular stuff, mate. All the best.
Facts and more facts. So yeah, people, you know where to find Graham. You know, AFTV, Lee Judge's channel, again, Twitter. Follow him, listen to his opinions. You know, I'm sure there'll be some content everywhere, and I'm sure you haven't seen all his content, so go and take him in. So yeah, it's been fantastic, people, but we're gonna have to love and leave you and get out of here. One love to everybody who's here. Please stay in good health, and we'll love and leave you lot and see you lot later, man. We're out. Graham, it's been appreciative.
Thanks, mate. All the best.
Peace.